A single gunshot. That's all it would take. One wrong move, one misread signal, and the Korean Peninsula could explode into war. For over 70 years, North and South Korea have stood toe-to-toe, weapons loaded, fingers never far from the trigger. There's no peace treaty, just a fragile ceasefire and decades of rising tension. Nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, psychological games. This isn't a relic of the past. It's unfolding right now, just miles from one of the most densely populated cities on Earth. And yet, most of the world isn't watching. So how did we get here? Why is the war technically still going on? And what would actually happen if it broke out again? Let's uncover the conflict the world tries to ignore but cannot afford to forget. Korea was one country for centuries, one language, one culture. From 1910 to 1945, it was under Japanese colonial rule. The Japanese controlled everything: the land, the schools, even Korean names. People were forced to work, fight in wars, and speak Japanese. Many Koreans were taken as forced laborers or soldiers during World War II. Some were even sent to other parts of the Japanese Empire. When Japan lost the war in 1945, Korea was finally free. But freedom came with a twist. Instead of helping Korea become one country again, the world powers stepped in. The Soviet Union took control of the North. The United States took control of the South. They split the country in half using the 38th parallel, just a line on the map. It was meant to be temporary, just a way to manage things after the war. Instead, it became a lasting scar. The Cold War started. The Soviets set up a communist system in the North. The Americans supported a democratic system in the South. Two completely different ideologies were growing on each side of the line. By 1948, the split became official. Kim Il-sung became the leader in the North with Soviet support. Syngman Rhee became president in the South with American support. So the Korean people, who never chose to be divided, were forced into two separate countries. Not by war, not by vote, just by outside powers drawing a line and saying, "This side is ours." And once the line was drawn, it didn't take long for things to get worse. Both North and South claimed to be the real Korea. Both wanted control of the whole peninsula. Talks failed. Trust was gone. Then in June 1950, it exploded. North Korean troops crossed the 38th parallel and invaded the South. It was a surprise attack. Cities fell fast. Seoul, the capital of South Korea, was captured within days. North Korea believed it could take the whole country in a matter of weeks. But the world was watching. The United Nations stepped in. Led by the United States, a coalition of 16 countries sent troops to help South Korea. It was no longer just a Korean conflict. It became a global one. On the other side, China sent hundreds of thousands of soldiers to help the North. The Soviet Union provided weapons, training, and support behind the scenes. The war lasted 3 years. From 1950 to 1953, it was chaos. Cities were bombed. Villages were destroyed. Over 3 million people died, including civilians. Families were torn apart. Some families were split overnight, siblings on opposite sides of the line. One South Korean survivor later recalled, "My brother was across the river when the line was drawn. I never saw him again." It was one of the deadliest wars of the 20th century. In the end, no one won. In 1953, both sides agreed to an armistice. The fighting stopped, but there was no peace treaty. The border stayed at the same 38th parallel, the same line that started it all. And technically, both Koreas are still at war today. The guns may be silent, but the conflict never really ended. The war ended on paper, but peace never really came. After the armistice in 1953, both North and South Korea began preparing for the next fight. Not through open war, but through secret missions, spies, and surprise attacks. Both sides built massive armies, millions of soldiers, thousands of tanks. The border became one of the most heavily guarded places on Earth. But the real action was happening in the shadows. North Korea sent trained commandos into the south. They crossed mountains and rivers, sneaking into villages and military posts. Some came to spy, others came to kill. In 1968, a group of North Korean soldiers got just a few hundred meters from the Blue House, the home of South Korea's president. Their goal was to assassinate him. But what if I told you? South Korea also trained an elite black ops unit whose mission was simple: infiltrate the North and assassinate Kim Il-sung. Sounds like a movie, right? Except it wasn't. South Korea wasn't just sitting back. They formed a secret unit called Unit 684. Its mission was simple: go to the north and take out Kim Il-sung. That unit never got to complete its mission. Later, it was shut down in scandal, and its story stayed hidden for years. Even American soldiers weren't safe. In 1976, during a routine tree trimming operation in the Demilitarized Zone, North Korean guards attacked and killed 2 U.S. officers with axes. It became known as the Axe Murder Incident. In 1996, a North Korean submarine ran aground in the south. It had been on a spy mission. The crew tried to flee. A deadly manhunt followed. So even without full-scale war, the fight never stopped. It just moved underground. As the world entered the 2000s, the fight between North and South Korea did not disappear. It just changed shape. The war that once involved rifles and landmines is now about missiles, computers, and information. North Korea started focusing on nuclear weapons. In 2006, it carried out its first nuclear test. Then it tested even more powerful bombs in 2009, 2013, 2016, and 2017. In one test, the explosion was so strong, it caused a 6.3 magnitude earthquake. According to experts at the United Nations and the Arms Control Association, North Korea may now have enough nuclear material to build between 40 and 50 warheads. Some of its missiles can travel more than 6,000 miles, which means they could reach the United States. At the same time, North Korea became a serious threat in cyberspace. A group called Lazarus, linked to the North Korean government, has been involved in several major cyber attacks. In 2014, they hacked Sony Pictures over a comedy movie that mocked Kim Jong-un. They leaked private emails and company data, causing an estimated $35 million in damages. In 2017, the same group launched the WannaCry ransomware attack. It crippled hospitals, banks, and companies in over 150 countries, including South Korea. When Kim Jong-il died in 2011, his son, Kim Jong-un, took power, young, untested, and unpredictable. But instead of calming tensions, things got worse. The new North Korea became more aggressive, launching dozens of missile tests, ramping up its nuclear program, and doubling down on cyber warfare. South Korea did not stay quiet. It increased its military drills with the United States, practicing how to respond to missile strikes and cyber threats. In 2016, South Korea also restarted loudspeaker broadcasts at the border. These speakers blasted K-pop, news, and weather reports. Some were loud enough to be heard nearly 10 miles inside North Korea. This is the modern version of the war. It's quiet, but just as dangerous. One missile test, one hack, or one miscalculation could drag the world into chaos. And while both sides occasionally talk about peace, the tension never disappears. It's always there, waiting. And now, we are in 2025. The Korean War never officially ended. There was no peace treaty, only an armistice signed in 1953. 72 years later, both Koreas are still technically at war. North Korea has carried out more than 160 missile tests since 2006. In 2022 alone, they launched over 40 missiles, including short-range, medium-range, and intercontinental ballistic missiles. One of their biggest breakthroughs came in 2017 when they tested the Hwasong-15, an intercontinental missile capable of reaching the U.S. mainland. In 2023, They advanced further by testing a solid fuel missile, which can be launched faster and more easily hidden than liquid fuel ones. North Korea has also grown closer to Russia and China. In July 2023, Russia's defense minister visited Pyongyang to discuss military ties. Reports and satellite imagery even suggest that North Korea may have supplied weapons and soldiers to Russia for its war in Ukraine, which would be a breach of international law and a serious violation under the United Nations Charter. South Korea is preparing as well. Its defense budget hit $43 billion in 2024, a major increase from previous years. The country has deployed advanced missile defense systems like THAAD, supported by the United States. In 2023, South Korea and the U.S. held their largest joint military drills in 5 years, involving more than 20,000 troops. The Korean Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, is still one of the most dangerous places on Earth. It is heavily guarded, packed with over 1 million landmines, and constantly monitored. Any incident here, even a small mistake or a misread signal, could spiral into a serious conflict. Why does this still matter? Because one wrong move, a misfire, or a miscommunication could trigger a war involving multiple nuclear powers. This is not just history. This is the present. This war never ended. And one mistake could ignite a global catastrophe. If you want more untold stories that actually matter, stories the mainstream won't cover, subscribe now. History was wild. We've got the receipts, people. Oh yeah, the past must be crazy.